Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about my latest race, in addition to talking about the new gamified races that you've probably been seeing around Zwift recently. And this is a pretty big change to racing, and I'm not entirely sure if this is here to stick, but I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on it, what I think is coming in the future of this gamified racing mode, and more details on this mode, along with giving some commentary over my race. First off, we're going to start with the race analysis / commentary. You can see here we're going right out of the gates. Ignore my heart rate because it was from my watch, which is completely inaccurate. But you can see here that there's a pretty small group of riders. We got 5 of us in the race, but honestly, we stick together for quite a while, and I was honestly surprised by how long we were together. But you can see here, we're getting these time boosts, and those are going to count towards our final time. So the time boosts that we do get here do affect us in the future for the actual results that we see. So if you just simply get all the time boosts, but you end up coming second, you'll still end up being first, most likely, unless the other rider also got all the time boosts. You can see here we haven't hit a single speed boost yet, but the first series of them are coming soon. You see those red boosts, they do slow you down, so those are the ones you're trying to avoid. I'm in first place briefly here. Honestly, I came into this race thinking that I was just going to completely destroy everyone, but that was really not the case, as there was another rider who was extremely skilled at the whole steering thing and getting all those boosts, and he ended up getting a little edge on me in the finish. You can see here, we're getting some pretty good speed here, and for 90% of repack rush, you're going to be over 30 miles per hour, which is something that's pretty cool, and it just makes everything feel so fast and fun. And that's sort of the element of this that just brings a gamified part to it, and it just makes it a lot more exciting in my opinion. I start to gap the other riders just slightly, but there's still 2 of us who are really close to each other, and that is me and MJ from Herd. And you see here, speed boosts make you just go so much quicker up these little climbs, and that just makes the average speed just way higher. And you can see here that we're neck and neck for pretty much this entire time. We only have 0.9 miles left, so we are getting close to that finish. But you can see here, one of the interesting things about gamified racing, and one thing that I honestly think is really cool and makes it really appealing for a lot of riders, is that you don't need to have the highest power in order to win the race. You can be a bottom category B rider and just have really good skills at avoiding those red boosts and getting those blue boosts and getting those time bonuses, and you will end up pretty close to the top, if not on the top. You can see here, I'm pushing like 300 watts, and it's not getting me anywhere really. The other rider is still right behind me because he's also hitting all the speed boosts that I'm hitting. So really, using that extra power was not really worth it, and it didn't really do anything because we're already going at such a speed that any additional power that I apply is not going to really make a difference in the long run. Coming into this final stretch, I almost hit a red boost, but I go right in between the middle, and if it's a blue boost, I get so annoyed when that happens, but red boost, I'm not complaining, because that would have slowed me down and really just lost the entire race for me. And you can see here, I'm back in first place. I'm thinking, okay, I could probably win this, but you can see here, as we hit these last boosts, you see him just go flying right by, and I am trying to catch up here. I pump out 400 watts, but it's not enough in order to catch up. And in addition to that, in the final results, I did not hit as many time boosts, so I didn't get as much time subtracted as he did, so he also beat me on that aspect. So even if I did come out just ahead of him, I wouldn't have actually won in the official Zwift results. Just a quick note, if you are enjoying this video, please smash that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I'm trying to hit 1,200 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you help me make that possible, that would be greatly appreciated. Now let's continue on with the video. Overall, I had quite a bit of fun in that race, and it's a bit more fun than I actually expected because I thought it would be pretty boring. I thought it wouldn't really be a competition, but it ended up being really, really close between the 2 of us, and that just made the race a whole lot more interesting, and it gave me incentive to really push and make sure that I executed the race really well. Now let's talk about the actual gamified racing part of this and why that is so important and what's that actually going to do for Zwift racing in the future. Now, Zwift announced this whole gamified racing thing a couple months back in this season on Zwift for the fall of 2023, and the feature ended up coming, and it's currently in beta testing right now. You can see races every 3 or so hours, I believe, and there's some on Crit City, some on Repack Rush, and the two of them are slightly different. In my opinion, the Crit City one's a bit more gamified in the aspect that like the boosts are changing constantly, so you could just yeah, there's a lot more gamification element to the Crit City ones than the Repack Rush. Now, when the feature was first introduced, there was a bit of controversy around it. Some people liked it because it gave a bit of an advantage to those who are just more tactical rather than the strongest rider always winning the race. And that's something that I honestly really like about this, and something that I think is really cool, and that Zwift should really include this feature just because of that aspect, because it just makes everything a whole lot more fun when you sign up for a race, you know you're in contention for the win, no matter how much power you can put out. Now, the controversial side of things is that it's not necessarily testing your strength, which is also the bonus side, because there's a lot of those people out there who just want to be able to have the most realistic ride possible, and they don't like this whole turning Zwift into Mario Kart kind of thing. But I honestly don't find it an issue, because you can choose to do these races, you can also choose to do regular races. Now, the event calendar is going to be dominated by the regular races, but these races will still be there once in a while, and that's what I sort of like, because there's going to be some days where you don't feel like really putting an all-out effort. So these races are, they're a way for you to still feel that thrill of racing without necessarily having to give it your all and just fight for every last watt at the line. Now, one of the very interesting things to see are the sign-up numbers for each of these things. Now, when Zwift typically tests things in beta, you can see how many sign-up numbers there are for certain things, so you can kind of gauge how much interest there is in each thing. And my event, you can see it only had 5 people, which was honestly kind of sad, but it was also at peak Zwift time, so I'd say in the other time zones, there are going to be even less people, which could just turn into a solo time trial, which is extremely boring in my opinion, and defeats the whole point of this new mode. Now, one of the reasons why I think this is happening is, one, because 90% of Zwifters out there don't have the hardware requirements for this, because you do need to be able to steer in some way, whether that's with a Wahoo Kicker Smart Bike or Zwift Play controllers or an Elite Steerzo. Those are all things that allow you to steer, but for the vast majority of Zwifters, they don't really care about this whole steering element of things, because it's not yet become a really essential thing in Zwift racing. It does give you a tiny edge, but it's not enough to make it worth spending that $100 to $150 on just a device that allows you to steer around in the game. And that's why I think the sign-up numbers are quite a bit lower than Zwift probably anticipated, but overall there's not a whole lot of interest in this mode. Now, I personally really like this mode, and it's something that I've enjoyed doing. I've enjoyed doing these races over the past few months, and I would love to see this feature stay, but I think that if there just isn't enough interest, it's going to end up like the Zwift HQ steering races, which only had like 5 to 10 people max, and that was even during peak times. I think that this feature could very well end up like that, and just end up being a feature that nobody ends up using and just eventually disappears, similar to what we saw with boost mode from back in 2020, and I enjoyed those races too. Those are all gone now, and I honestly fear that the same thing is going to happen to these races, just because there isn't enough interest, and there doesn't seem to be an increasing amount of interest. So I don't think Zwift would be willing to spend their resources on a feature that's not really getting much interaction from the users, so it's not going to be worth their time to just work on something that nobody's going to be using in the future. That's just my take on this feature, but I'd honestly love to hear yours. So please drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think of this new feature. Is it something that you'd be interested in? Is it something that you want to see stick around for Zwift to continue to work on it later on in the future? Or do you want to see this feature completely killed like boost mode? If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like, subscribe button, and with that, see you all next time and ride on.